Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Rob's Hot Mic. I would be Rob. And this week's movie news, views, and reviews. First up, a couple of this week's noteworthy items. I've called him this already, and it bears repeating. Dan Murrell, I think it's Murrell, but I don't know. Anyway, Mr. Murrell is the most reasonable person in the whole YouTube film beat game. I might have thrown down a couple of hot takes last week about the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit against Disney for back end. He went a step further. He actually, one of his patrons on Patreon is a lawyer, and the lawyer kind of chimed in on it. And I can't, as far as I'm concerned, Dan, you know what, made a great case and made a great case about it, and why he thinks it's not a slam dunk for Scarlett Johansson, but that she's got a solid case. So the link to that piece will be down in the description. What else, my friends? Let me grab my agenda again here. Yes. Okay. Next would be Hollywood unions and police organizations. Let's pull this one up. Apparently, this is kind of funny. Apparently, there's been a movement within certain Hollywood unions. It started early in 2020 before COVID-19 really picked up, with the Writers Guild of America reaching out to the AFL-CIO, kind of an umbrella trade union organization, to say we should get rid of all these police unions. They should no longer be part of the AFL-CIO. Further, there is a movement within those unions to get out of the business of employing policemen on their side hustle. Now, I'm not 100% sure. It sounds like it works in LA, much like it does here in Winnipeg. If you want to do traffic control, you have to hire an off-duty cop. Here in Winnipeg, it's north of $100 an hour. And even more if you want the guy to have a car. The issue here is that there's a lot of other industries that can just train their people to be flag people. So construction, for instance, and they don't necessarily have to hire cops. So there is a movement within IATSE, International Alliance of Theatrical and Stage Employees, and some of the DGA, I think, and a couple of the other American unions in LA to get out of this. But of course, they have to lobby their city council, otherwise, because it's really a municipal requirement that they hire off-duty police officers. Here in Manitoba, it's a provincial requirement that they hire off-duty police officers, which I've always thought was a bit of a hustle. Why should there be legislation making sure that these guys got a good side gig as overtime that contributes to their pension, no less, which is a public liability? Anyway, it's all just... you know what? So for those folks who are working on that, good on them. Keep it up. All right. What else? We've got one more item, I think, or maybe two more. Two more items before we get into the meat of the show. Oh, yes. Are the Golden Globes back? Spoiler alert. Of course they are. Now, it's important to note that this story doesn't, in Hollywood Reporter, doesn't say, yes, 100%, they're going to be back. But there's a whole bunch of quotes in it. For example, where are we here? NBC responded, NBC being the key player here. NBC responded to the reforms in a statement on Thursday. We're encouraged by the passage of the amended bylaws. This marks a positive step forward and signals the Hollywood Foreign Press Association's willingness to do the work necessary for meaningful change. Now, my understanding from this piece, and I'm going to, here, let me get myself back on the screen. My understanding from this piece is it kind of boils down into three areas. First of all, they're going to bump up the size of their membership, focusing on Black African Americans. They're also going to take away the LA-based restriction on membership. So you still have to reside in the United States, work for a foreign publication beyond print media. So they're loosening that up, and they're getting out of this, oh, you got to live in LA, you got to be. And I think one of the biggest things they're getting rid of is the whole idea of sponsorship. I guess before, well, like any private club, is there a member who will sponsor your membership? Anyway, so I'm going to go back, because I've never thought, oh, this is the death of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. I figured, you know what, you lay down a big enough stick and say we're going to use it, which is really their broadcast, which gives them all that dough. They're going to do something about it, and they're doing something about it. So I am willing. I think the odds of a Golden Globes in 2022 moved way up. If I were forced to give it a percentage, yeah, I think at least even odds, maybe better. You know what? I'm going to say at least a 60% chance that there'll be a Golden Globes awards. There'll be the Golden Globes on television. Of course, they'll hand out the awards, but it'll be on NBC next year. That 60%. What is that? 3-2. I think. Anyway, last but certainly not least, let me again pop up my little agenda. Oh, yeah. This is very much a local thing here in Manitoba. So our theaters in Winnipeg have been open for a few weeks now. The requirement was you had to prove that you were fully vaccinated. I loved it. I've been to a few movies now, and I liked being able to show my proof of vaccination. And I also think it's a killer incentive. There's still 1 in 5 Manitobans who haven't even gotten a first vaccination, never mind their second. And if we're going to be in herd immunity territory, which from my understanding is well north of 90% vaccination, anything the government can use to incentivize full vaccination, I think is a good thing. Of course, we can now kiss that goodbye because, of course, our Tory government is like, oh, it's good enough now, like they've always done, and like it's always blown up in their face. So I only expect the same. But hey, for a few weeks and right up to this Saturday, so I'm going to go see a movie probably tomorrow night, maybe even tomorrow afternoon, go for a twofer. It'll be safe. And then after that, I'll just, I don't know, figure something else out. Anyway, that's enough for now. Let's get into the meat of the show. And that first of all is, actually first, I want to shout out to DMG, Dragon Movie Guy. Great to see you here, man. And thanks very much. So it's Murrell like Milton Berle. So Murrell like Burl. Gotcha. Thanks very much for that. And thanks for popping by. Now, where are we? Yes, the whole point of the show tonight. Actually, I got 2 points. One is my least anticipated films. And another is I want to take another look at, or maybe I don't want to take another look. I want to talk about The Green Knight, some of the, let's say, I can't call it controversy, but debate around it, and some of my thoughts on why I think it's worth your time. There might have been some hot takes between me and DMG on Sunday night, but we'll get into that later. All right, but first, who lit this shit? Who greenlit this shit? This is my very first in what I hope will be an ongoing series, a quarterly or at least semi-annually series of asked for this nonsense? Yes, I am going to do it without irony. I might have seen one of the movies on this list. But let's start with number 5 on the list of who lit this shit. Space Jam: A New Legacy. I don't remember who asked for the first one. How could they possibly think there'd be a second? Now, of course, it's currently in the top 10 box office, so I guess that might be part of it. But still, like, where is this demand where it's like, you know what we need is a basketball star who, I'm not going to say he can't act, but it's not like after he was in, what was that, Hot Mess or Trainwreck, where I thought, he didn't do too badly, but you knew he was a basketball star acting. Who asked for this? Who greenlit this shit? Anyway, that's number 5. Number 4, The Wrath of Man. Now, this is how do I put this? This is my personal beef. I'm kind of done with Guy Ritchie's toxic fetishization of criminals, and always this kind of, there's honorable thieves and there's dishonorable thieves. It's like, I don't know, they're all kind of violent thieves to me. That fetishizing of criminals, and also the kind of a weird, super hyper masculine, toxic masculine underworld of thuggery. And I'm like, I thought The Gentleman, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Jesus Christ, it's like 90% of what he's done is this movie. And so did we really need Wrath of Man? No, I don't think we did. Who greenlit this shit? Who lit this shit? All right. Boy, really no. If I was even in monetization territory, I was not going to get monetized here. DMG does, it does say, again, referring to item 5 on my list, but where else do we get a curated tour of Warner Brothers intellectual properties? You do, you know what? If there's it's a silver lining to what still is, a cloud of who lit this. But that is a silver lining nonetheless. All right. Okay, we're 5, 4. Number 3, Snake Eyes. And I say this having actually went and saw the film. Now, in my defense, first of all, I never asked for Snake Eyes. It wasn't like I was like, why have we not rebooted that toy brand? The only reason I saw it was the theaters had only been open for a week. There was nothing else, and it was new, and I'm like, what the hell, I'll give it a shot. It met all my low expectations. And again, I'm wondering who asked for this. It's interesting when people, and even I did in my review, which I'll somewhere up here, I will put a card. My hot takes on it, my review of it last week. Yeah, even talking about the Hasbro, the G.I. Joe lore, it's like, wow, that's giving this toy brand a lot of credit. So anyway, who asked for this? Who greenlit this shit? All right, number 2, and more irony. The Suicide Squad. And yes, I can. It may be the subject of Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies this week, and by May it will be. That said, I still think it qualifies. It deserves to be on this list because after the first one, who asked for this? It's like, okay, we tried it. It didn't work. We don't exactly, the DCEU, the brains at DC and Warner, is Warner, isn't it? obviously aren't really good at this whole extended universe thing and these big combo deals. Why not just go back to what Shazam was pretty good. Aquaman I thought it was a pretty solid flick. The first Wonder Woman, awesome. Just go back to the, this single character stuff. I think they even dropped the ball with the Emancipation of Harley Quinn because they added, nope, gotta have a big group. Nobody's asking for this. Quit it. And unless you're already committed, and then we'll see it tomorrow. I'll be there. And we'll talk about it on Sunday. Okay, got another comment here in the chat from Dragon Movie Guy. Speaking of which, go check out his channel at Dragon Movie Guy, at Dragon Movie Guy on Twitter and Instagram. I hear he hangs out on Instagram more than Twitter. That's the word. Anyway, he makes a comment about Snake Eyes. At least they finally cast an Asian actor for an Asian character. We can, although who doesn't like John Wayne as Khan? You're absolutely right. It goes even further. It actually sets it in Japan with an all Asian cast. So, but that's like, if the scales are like this and we're like, here, let's put him there, or let's put him there, and then the all-Asian cast. It's still, who lit this shit? Okay, back to it. All right, so we had number 2. I do have a couple of what I'm going to call dishonorable mentions. Apologies. First one is Protege. This is coming out later this month, starring Maggie Q, amongst other real actors. Actually, that's unfair to Maggie Q. She is a real actor. She does have a track record. I just don't. It's this is all a riff on Atomic Blonde. Why is this not on streaming? This is like Gunpowder Milkshake, which I thought it was a perfectly fine film, pretty solid. I see it though as taking itself too seriously, unlike something like Gunpowder Milkshake or Jolt, which knows what it is and has fun with it. I don't see myself ever cracking a smile. I think the jokes will be lame and just like, again, who asked for that? My other dishonorable mention is a film that's already come out. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Say that 5 times fast. The first one was passable, better than mediocre, but really kind of challenging and saying good. It kind of relied on the charm of its stars. Why not just go, hey, we got lucky with that one. Look, we actually won at roulette. We're at the roulette table, and we're actually walking away with more chips than we came with. Don't go back to the roulette table. You go, hey, we beat the odds. You're not going to beat the odds twice. So, again, who lit this shit? All right. Now that leaves us to our number 1 on, who lit this shit, who greenlit this movie, and that is, I'm saving this for Dominic Toretto, Dom and the Fam, at F9, The Fast Saga. First of all, it could be that they should have finished it at 8. It should have been The Fate of the Furious. Finish it off there. They're going to what, 11, 12 for... When did this BS about cars and family become like the Ring saga from Wagner? Anyway, yeah. Who lit this? I say this understanding that, of course, it's literally it's currently the global box office winner for 2021, I think. Actually, maybe a couple of Chinese films may be out of it. But yeah, Why? You know what? There are plenty other good films you can make. We get it. Dom family's important. All right. That gets that out of the way. Thank you very much for checking out. Our first Who Lit This Shit? Okay. Before we get into what's my second subject, which is an examination, a discussion regarding the Green Knight and a reaction to it, and another way to look at it, I want to first of all give everyone a heads up on what we're going to be doing on Sunday at 9:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time on Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies, our weekly live show where we go above and beyond the review to talk about the story, the craft, and the meaning of a film we've picked for the week. That film will be The Suicide Squad, because yes, I have no understanding of irony. But another thing I'm really excited about, folks, here is that, as you know, every film we look at now, we do up a social nutrition checklist. And over here is the one for Jolt. And we talk about the Reframe Project. We talk about If It's Eaten You Made. We talk about the Bechdel test, class consciousness. But we always do lead off with the Reframe stamp, which is a part of the Reframe Project and basically a test of how open to diversity is a film and its above the line talent. And that's, the producer, the writer, the director, the stars of the film. Does it have women in those key roles? Does it have women of color in those key roles to kind of, open up the world, open up Hollywood to the fact that it isn't just white men. So what we've got, as soon as we started this project, the social nutrition checklist, we led with the Reframe stamp. And this Sunday this will be at the very top of our show, we are going to be interviewing the executive director of the Reframe Project, Andrea Wilson Mirza, and super jazzed about that. So I encourage you all to subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you'll be ready. You'll get the heads up for this show. Again, really excited about it. Really appreciative of Ms. Wilson Mirza's willingness to be out on a Sunday night to talk to Jim and I. And so, I'm excited to bring this for you guys, talk about the history of the project, and have a discussion on why the organizers of the project think it's important and why Jim and I think it's important, why we bring it up in every show. Okay, so I think it doesn't look like we have anything new in the chat right now. So I think we're going to talk about, let's talk about the Green Knight. The Green Knight. If you'll see here, wow. Loved by critics, less so by the audience. Why is that? Why do people love this show? Why do critics love this show, but the audience does not? And I want to discuss that. I think I've got something to add to the conversation that would maybe answer some of those questions. So first of all, you know what? Some of it's pretty simple. Some of the problem is just strictly expectations, folks. You know what? The audience, first of all, the audience here is Arthurian legend. What are you thinking about? You're thinking about, King Arthur, Sword in the Stone, battles, Merlin, sorcery, all this stuff. That's what you're thinking about. Sorry, I had to cheat and do the fast food thing tonight. I was running late already. so some of it, yeah, strictly that. You're thinking about a big action film, and then, sorry, look at look at that axe. Look at the way he's holding it. Some of its marketing kind of implies, more than implies, it says it. It's like, boy, he must have won a big battle. So I think that's part of the problem here. A lot of people went into this movie expecting spectacle, expecting action, expecting plot-heavy movement, and, at least doing something like more than what the movie did with that big-ass axe. All right. So I think some of that at the very least. So for the audience, they go in, they're like, what the hell is this? This weird, what is it? We're in an art film? I didn't know I was at the University Art House. Why is everyone in the audience, other than me, wearing black? Now, as on the critic's side, a little sympathy for the devil, or at least the critic. If you look at, especially the bigger the critic is, and I'm not saying every critic universally loved it. It's always tough with Rotten Tomatoes. You got to read in and you kind of go, well, actually, they liked it, but they didn't love it. But I can see why a critic who sees a lot of, let's call it what it is, shit, greenlit shit. They see a lot of shit. They see a lot of stories they've seen 22 times before. And so at the end, they're just like, I'm done. Oh, what? Oh, this is not what I expected. Wow, this is just interesting in and of itself. Now, I might have thrown down a couple of hot takes when Sean from Lost in the Reel was asking about the Sunday, maybe a bit about, critics being pretentious and that. But I you know what, giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, some of it's just they're finally seeing something that's not the usual industrial corporate fare. And so I can totally understand why a critic would give it some love that the audience wouldn't. All right. That said, I think there's more to what's going on here, and we can look at this on a deeper level and get some appreciation out of it, even if at the end you still kind of go, I don't like it. But if you're sitting on the fence and you're wondering whether or not you should go, keep everything I'm going to say now in mind. This may be the tipping point one way or another, but at the very least, by the end of the film, maybe you get a bit more out of it, even if you, in the end, decided, I didn't like it, you might get more out of it. So first, we have to talk about the hero's journey and really Joseph Campbell's book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. The book is what started the whole conversation. The book, which was written in the 40s or the 50s? Just a sec, folks. First published in 1949. Okay. It wasn't until decades later, George Lucas does Star Wars, of course, and all of a sudden it becomes the go-to storyline for Hollywood. But I think that's a part of my, can I call it a problem with it? Or I think what people need to understand is that even though this book kind of kicked that off, and it's a touchstone for people who are doing hero's journey style stories, first of all, you got to understand, most of LA has not read this book. Now, in their defense, it is a hard slog. I read it years ago, and then I had to reread it, and every now and then I got to pick it up again, but it's a tough slog. It's densely written. The guy is not, Joseph Campbell was never known for, what a clear and concise prose, So I kind of get part of that, but also which shows why so many people misunderstand the Campbell's thesis, and actually the book itself, which is not so much a how-to on storytelling, but a psychological examination of myth, especially warriors' myths. And it's very much it's really kind of deeply embedded in Jungian analysis and, discussion of Jungian archetypes, the herald, etc. Threshold guardians, the lady at the bottom of the lake, and all these other icons and archetypes of the hero's journey. And this is, I think, where when you're watching this movie and you think hero's journey even, and you think action, I think this filmmaker, successful or not, I think this filmmaker really did understand. And that's what the hero's journey is, and that's what he's trying to do. Now, add on top of it, Gawain and the Green Knight, if you look at that OG legend, it's very much about Gawain. Yes, he is a knight, but this is where he becomes a man. And it's nowhere near about action as much as about a man having to steel himself to what maybe is walking to his doom. And just to give you the incredibly short version of the Arthurian tale, Christmas Day, of course, knights doing what knights do, talking about how cool they are. And in comes the Green Knight saying, any of you have the guts to, you can strike me a blow as hard as you want. Do you have the guts to take the same blow from me in a year? Gawain, not having much to brag about at this date. He's maybe King Arthur's nephew, but that's about all he's got. Steps up like any other brash young idiot and goes, I'll show all these oldsters how it's done. And he cuts the Green Knight's head off. Of course, the Green Knight says, well, thank you very much. Let me get that head. This is mine. This is my head. This is now what I'm talking to you through. I'll see you in a year. And everything after that is about this young man, this adolescent facing these challenges, understanding that his time is coming, and how does he face that? And I think if you read The Hero's Journey, or if you read The Hero with 1,000 Faces, you'll really, and if you read the original legend, you'll see this, it's this psychological girding of one's loins, and a belt, a girdle, the OG reference to a belt, this green belt, is a big, huge imagery in the movie. Also, quite the symbol in the original legend, or, well, let's call it tale, Arthurian tale, and how he deals with compromise and becoming that man and all those things. I'm not saying that Mr. Lowry was successful at this. And like I said, somewhere here, there'll be a card to the conversation Brian at Dragon Movie Guy and I had, and he feels strongly the other direction. And even myself, I'm like, well, it's not like this guy set out to entertain me. I just think if you kind of go into the theater understanding, first of all, it's not an action film. Let go of those expectations and kind of be more open to a symbolic and metaphorical journey. You may get more out of this film, even if at the end you still go, boy, I want my money back. I think you'll just get more out of it. And I think you will have more, can I say respect? Yeah, maybe more respect for the filmmaker. I think, and this kind of gets into my whole idea of how we critique films is, are we being present to the film? And I think that, heck, if you've paid money and you've stayed past the point you can get your money back, you might as well be present to it. You're going to get more out of it. But especially for folks like me and my fellow YouTube film beat workers, especially our great friend at DMG, Brian at Dragon Movie Guy. You know what? To be present to the film, to be aware of what it's doing, even if we don't think it's doing it successfully, I think that's important. I think keeping all this stuff in mind will help you get more out of the movie. So there's my pitch for that. We do have a couple of comments from Brian, which DMG, Dragon Movie Guy, thank you so much for popping in. I really appreciate this, man. He says, okay, first comment, love this. Men in bad marriages often claim their wife is a battle axe for sapping all the fun out of life. The Green Knight's battle axe sapped the fun out of King Arthur. Ooh. Once again, an off-color, yikes, zinger from DMG. All right. And then, of course, and this goes into, again, yeah, you watch the full, or even actually I will also link, here, I'll link our shorter version, just where we talk about the review and our quick takes on it. Yeah, David Lowery might have discovered the cure for insomnia with the Green Knight. Well, there you go. That's Brian's take on that. So anyway, I think that's about it. I really do appreciate, first of all, I'm so sorry I was like 20, 25 minutes late. My bad. I will be editing that ridiculous length out of the video. I may even cut this up into two distinct pieces, but I really appreciate you coming in. And once again, I will ask you all. It's like, yeah, throw a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And of course, don't forget to ring that bell. And yeah, hope to see you guys on Sunday night, where again we'll be, without irony, taking a deep dive into the Suicide Squad. And of course, that at the top of the show, an interview with the executive director of the Reframe Project, Andrea Wilson-Mirza. Really looking forward to that, and hope you guys are too. It'll be a lot of fun. All right. I think that's, is that about it? Are we done? I think we're done. Okay. Bye-bye.